این آرزو که انسان بتواند فراتر از مکان و زمان سفر کند همیشه بشر را همراهی کرده است. تصور کنید که شما بتوانید توسط ادراک فراحسی به آینده بروید و از آینده اطلاعاتی را به همراه بیاورید. این قدرت چه تأثیراتی در زندگی کنونی شما خواهد گذاشت؟ درود بر شما دوستان و همراهان همیشگی. امیدوارم هر جا که هستید شاد، سلامت و پر انرژی باشید. عرفان هستم و با یک ویدیو جالب دیگه در خدمت شما عزیزان هستم. موضوع این ویدیو را به ادراک فراذهنی یا دوربینی اختصاص دادم. امیدوارم که از دیدن این ویدیو لذت ببرید و حتما تا آخر این ویدیو من را همراهی کنید. دوربینی یا مشاهده از راه دور که به آن ریموت ویوینگ هم گفته می شود، تلاش برای درک و فهمیدن یک هدف دور یا پنهان است. در این روش فرد تلاش می کند از طریق ارتباط ذهنی نسبت به یک چیز یا موضوعی که در دیدن آن از لحاظ فیزیکی برای فرد غیر ممکن است اطلاعات کسب کند. آن چیز می تواند در آینده، گذشته و یا در زمان حال باشد. خیلی از انسان‌ها این قدرت را یک قدرت تخیلی می‌شناسند و رسیدن به آن را غیر ممکن می‌دانند، ولی CIA سازمان اطلاعات مرکزی آمریکا سالیان سال است که از این قدرت برای به دست آوردن اطلاعات استفاده می‌کند. هرچند گفته می شود این سازمان دیگر از این روش برای دریافت اطلاعات استفاده نمی کند، ولی خیلی ها بر این باورند که CIA در حال حاضر هم تیم های فراذهنی برای دوربینی و دریافت اطلاعات از طریق این روش دارد. یکی از افرادی که سالیان سال برای CIA در زمینه دوربینی یا مشاهده از راه دور کار کرده است آقای راسل تارگ است. او میگوید که آنها یک تیم دوربینی داشتند و مأموریت‌های زیادی را برای CIA انجام دادند و از طریق این قدرت اطلاعات زیادی را برای این سازمان جمع‌آوری کردند. در اینجا سخنرانی آقای راسل تارگ را برای شما با زیرنویس آماده کردم که با هم میریم این گفته‌ها را بشنویم.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. My name is Russell Targ and I'm a physicist. And it's my great pleasure to tell you about the remarkable work we did at Stanford Research Institute investigating psychic abilities. We did that for the CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, NASA, and many other intelligence agencies, part of the US government intelligence system. The work we did at SRI involved things like finding a downed Russian airplane in North Africa with code books on it, locating a kidnapped American general in northern Italy, looking into a Soviet weapons factory in Soviet Siberia, describing the construction of a huge Soviet submarine in northern Russia, and we even looked on a Chinese atomic bomb test 3 days before it was scheduled to go off and described correctly that it was going to fail. So we did quite a lot of useful things for the government during our 23-year program. The ability we're talking about is a natural psychic ability that we all have in spite of what you may have heard to the contrary. People can quiet their mind and describe and experience what's happening in a distant place or in the future. And this has been talked about for thousands of years. Buddhists have a vast lore about what this is and how to do it and why it's desirable, and I'll try and talk about that later. The ability allows you to quiet your mind and describe and experience what's happening in the future, and you can do that independent of the distance. The most interesting thing that we found as physicists is that it's no harder to describe what's happening in Soviet Siberia 6,000 miles away than it is for you to describe the funny object I have in my pocket. 6,000 miles away does not decrease the accuracy or the reliability as compared with something nearby. Looking into the distance is no harder than looking at a contemporaneous event, and that's why this is called a non-local perception. Not quantum mechanical particularly, it pertains to the fact that we live in a non-local space-time described as scientifically most recently by Schrödinger in the 1920s, and then proved in the 1970s and 1980s. So the idea of non-local connections is not new age. This is accepted in the physical community. The hottest topic in modern physics is exploring non-locality. It was described originally by the Buddhists 2,000 years ago, but modern physics has finally caught up. The leaders of the program that we had at SRI are all physicists. The physicists are taking over what used to be called parapsychology. We were once called by the Berkeley Police Department, where Patricia Hearst was kidnapped, and they said, "We're so desperate, can you help us with your ESP program?" It shows how desperate they were. And Pat Price and Hal Puthoff and I drove to Berkeley, and Price said, "Let's see your mug book." He's a no-nonsense guy, had been in lots of police stations. "I want to see the picture book with all the usual suspects." He turned the page after page, and said, "That's the guy, that's the ringleader." And he put his finger on Donald DeVries, who was indeed the ringleader. It's extraordinary. But they learned that only 2 weeks later. The police said, "Well, can you tell us something right now that'll help us?" And Price said, "Would you like to know where the kidnapped car is?" And they said, "You're kidding." He said, "Well, so if you drive about 50 miles north on Bayshore Free on Highway 101, the kidnapped car is a white station wagon. It's on the right, parked by a diner across from two large white gas storage cylinders in the pedestrian overpass across the freeway." And one of the detectives said, "Well, I know where that is. That's on my way to my home in Vallejo." 20 minutes later, they had found the car, and there are still cartridges rolling around on the floor of the car. So this is the first in a series of experiments we did over a course of a decade, and it's basically what convinced the CIA to give us money. That is, what we played is a kind of psychic hide and go seek, and all the pictures I'm going to show you are like this, so I won't reiterate. The way it works is Pat Price, or the psychic of the day, is in a shielded room, electrically shielded room with me, and Hal randomly is sent to an undisclosed location, random target picked by the lab director. He generally will go with the colonel from the Army or a lab director or a contract monitor. In this case, they went to a swimming pool complex called Rinconada Park. Price with me said, "I see a water purification plant. I see a square pool 65 by 80 and a round pool 100 feet in diameter and 2 water storage tanks. That's what I see." And that's what he drew on the right. Actually, they had gone to the swimming pool complex, and when we got there for feedback after the experiment, we saw the swimming pool is really 110 feet in diameter, and the rectangular pool is 75 by 100. So viewed from 5 miles away, he had the dimensions architecturally correct to 90%. Now, he had added in these 2 water tanks, which are on the right side of the picture, which are not at the location. And it's not a water purification plant, it's a swimming pool. However, and that's a story I would tell up to about 10 years ago, when the city of Palo Alto sent us a picture book showing what the city used to be like 75 and 100 years ago. The psychic ones know what the answer is going to be already. 75 years ago, this was a water purification plant, and the tallest thing in the city of Palo Alto were the 2 water tanks I show at the top, and Price drew at the left. So what he apparently did is move his awareness 5 miles south on Middlefield Road and describe the park where the guys were hiding, and then moved his awareness 75 years back to describe the biggest thing in the city. Off my schedule, I gotta tell you, he also described a National Security Agency code facility in Virginia. And he described that and was able to read the file folders. And people wanted to know, why did you pick this to read? And he said, well, the more in psychic space, the more you hide something, the brighter it shines. Army intelligence asked us to train, to set up a psychic Army Corps. We chose 6 Army officers to work with us from a big group that we interviewed, Hal and I interviewed. One of those was Joe McMoneagle, who Joe is still alive and is probably the greatest living psychic today, prodigious psychic. And his first trial, sitting with me, what's this remote viewing stuff? What's this psychic stuff? What do you want me to do? Betting their careers that this is a new, interesting juncture for them. So I described remote viewing, as I always do. I've been doing workshops now for 20 years. My ritual, the shibboleth, is close your eyes, quiet your mind, and describe the surprising pictures that appear in your awareness. Don't try and name it. Don't try and guess. Just describe the surprising images. And that language was understood 1,200 years ago and appears in Patanjali's guide, Self-Liberation for Seeing with Naked Awareness. If you want to move from suffering and conditioned awareness to freedom and naked awareness, sit down and shut up and quiet your mind, stop naming, stop guessing, and you're on your way. So here's Hella Hammond and Ingo Swann. Ingo taught us all how to do remote viewing. The way it worked is that Ingo taught Hal and me how to do remote viewing. Hal and I taught the 6 Army officers. The Army officers taught the world. So if you look at Google right now, we're still up on Google, and search for remote viewing, you'll find more than 2 million pages dealing with remote viewing, operational things to do with remote viewing. 2 million pages is quite a lot of pages for something that many people don't think exists.
همانطور که دیدید، دوربینی روشی است که سالیان سال توسط CIA برای به دست آوردن اطلاعات محرمانه استفاده می شده و مطمئناً در حال حاضر هم استفاده می شود. چند سال پیش پس از تلاش‌های طولانی مدافعان آزادی، سازمان CIA اسناد محرمانه زیادی از پروژه‌های فوق سری خود را در وبسایت رسمی خود عمومی کرد. این مدارک شامل جلسات اطلاعاتی، مقالات پژوهشی، مشاهدات بشقاب پرنده و آزمایشات زیادی می شود. آرشیو کامل منتشر شده تقریباً 800,000 پرونده با حدود 13 میلیون صفحه را تشکیل می دهد. در میان پرونده های این آرشیو اسناد برنامه موسوم به استارگیت دیده می شود که استفاده از توانایی های فرازذهنی از جمله دوربینی یا به عبارتی مشاهده از راه دور را در بر می گیرد. در یکی از این آزمایشات آمده است که چگونه یک مأمور CIA مأموریتی به یکی از افراد تیم دوربینی می دهد و از او می خواهد که به 1 میلیون سال پیش بر روی سیاره مریخ برود. و از او می‌خواهد تا تمام چیزهایی را که می‌بیند برای او تعریف کند. او هم این کار را انجام می‌دهد. نتیجه این مأموریت همه را شوکه کرد. در ویدیو بعدی به جزئیات بسیار جالب این مأموریت می‌پردازم. پس برای اینکه ویدیو جالب بعدی را از دست ندید، حتما در یوتیوب عضو کانال راز موفقیت شوید و فراموش نکنید که این ویدیو را با دوستان خود به اشتراک بگذارید. اگر شما می‌توانستید از این قدرت استفاده کنید، چه کارهایی را انجام می‌دادید؟